First off, I'd like to congratulate Coach and thank Coach Johnny Harris for just an unbelievable win yesterday afternoon, and then also thank the Auburn family for an incredible turnout. Thank the team for playing with toughness and courage, and also thank the Auburn athletic department and the marketing crew. We've had South Carolina and Tennessee and now LSU, former champions, come into Neville Arena before, but this felt different. The lines before the game, and yeah, maybe some were here to see the defending national champion and some of their star players, but they obviously came away incredibly impressed, and what a tremendous accomplishment. Second thing, happy Martin Luther King Day. I am, grateful for the work that Dr. King did, and as a coach and a teacher, I try to remind my players to take advantage of the opportunities that their fathers didn't have. There still is racism in this country, but my student athletes are in a lot better position to take advantage of the American dream than their fathers and their grandfathers were. And my job is to encourage them and teach them to do that, to do exactly that. Vanderbilt is right now sits at the bottom of our league, and all I can do is see them in a 2-point loss at Memphis, and being in a last possession or 2 game against Alabama. Watch them go on the road to LSU and beat and compete, and be in the game the whole time. Watch them, in a close game with Ole Miss, and knowing that last year we went there and got beat, so obviously we have a lot to play for. I will try to explain to our guys that a little bit about Auburn basketball history, and I'm going to remind our guys that prior to us having won 5 out of the last 6, we had lost 13 straight to Vanderbilt. That's just not that far ago. That's not that long ago. Obviously, we're going to work really hard to prepare. Mannion is, Ezra Mannion will be the fastest, quickest, most athletic, smallest guard that we'll play against all year long. He is the best undersized guard that I think I've ever seen score over size. It doesn't matter who he gets switched up on. It doesn't matter what his matchup is. He is going to go downhill, and he's going to find a way to score with either hand at a decent percentage. I mean, tough shot after tough shot, but they're not for him. Obviously, he made that last bucket against us last year. Vanderbilt is patient. They just, they'll get you in a situation, which I think has been a little bit of a challenge for us, in the sense that we're going to get a good first shot against Vanderbilt. We will. But if you take that good first shot, you're going to come down the other end and cover for 30 seconds. And then you're going to get down the other end, you're going to get a good first shot. If you take that, you're going to come down the other end, you're going to guard for 30 seconds. And it's going to be a close game. We haven't had many close games. And the interesting thing, and one of the things I'm also going to talk to the team about today, is who's going to be out there late? Question is, who's going to be out there late? And the answer is most likely, if I know myself, my best defensive players. If I know myself, and we haven't had many moments, but in those moments, that's who I tend to go to. So that may answer the question for who's going to be out there. Whereas Vanderbilt, or when Ole Miss comes in Saturday, or at Alabama and at Mississippi State, our next 4 games, I would anticipate all 4 of them being much closer, and us being involved in situations that we've hardly been involved in this year. So those are the kind of things that we're preparing for.
Any questions?
How could you possibly have any questions after all that?
It's kind of early into conference play here. You guys are 3-0. Alabama's 3-0. Samford's 15-2. Troy's playing great basketball. Like, what, I guess, if you guys kind of look at like the state of basketball in in Alabama. Whoops. Where kind of is your head at?
Yeah.
Looking at that?
Yeah, man, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm definitely proud of the state of basketball in Alabama. I'm proud of it. I mean, between Auburn and Alabama, in 4 of the last 5 years, we've been the champions. You know, I mean, and I don't think the SEC, quite frankly, has done enough to really promote that. Like sometimes when I say that, do you remember reading that? I don't remember reading that in Sports Illustrated. I don't remember. I remember reading times when Auburn and Alabama won 4 out of the 5 SEC championships, but not in basketball. But that's in the past. You know, we'll see what we can do right now. You know, I'm trying to make history in the future. That's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think Tennessee and Kentucky and Ole Miss and a few other teams in our league are going to have something to say about it as well as Auburn and Alabama. But yeah, I mean, the job that our coaches in the league are doing at Samford and Troy and UAB and South Alabama and North Alabama and Alabama Huntsville and Tusculum and Alabama A&M, Alabama State, it's pretty strong, pretty strong.
Bruce, I asked you about this after the game the other night, but the free throw shooting for y'all are top 50 in the country right now with free throws. This could be your best free throw shooting team in a while. I want to ask you a little bit more about how much you've seen these guys in particular work to get better, because there's several guys on this team that have had pretty big jumps in the free throw percentages this season alone.
Well, I mean, one of the keys to being a good free throw shooting team is to get your best free throw shooters there. So, in the final 4 year, Bryce Brown and Jared Harper went to the line a lot, and that helped our percentage. That's not necessarily the case at 1 and 2 for me right now. And so now my 3-man, Chad Baker's getting there more. Jalen Williams as a 4-man's getting more. And Dylan and Janai are always going to get there because, we go through them a lot. And, I can't compliment Dylan and Janai enough for their effort. They have both not only worked at their free throw stroke, but studied it, but filmed it, but adjusted it, have given it significant thought. Dylan probably the biggest turnaround, even from a standpoint of just flat out changing his stroke completely. And good for him. You try the same thing over and over again expecting a different result. The definition of that is not a very complimentary word. And Dylan had tried the same thing over and over again for a while, but really to his credit. And in Janai, he's got a good stroke. There are some things in that stroke that needed to take place for him to feel better about it. And that's going to be a key for us to be able to continue in close games.
Coach, there's been a lot of talk about Trey improving over this season, last season. When he came out of high school, coming off of a state championship run, playing under Coach Ward, just kind of what was he like? What were you getting in him straight out of high school when he arrived here?
Well, I mean, I think straight out of high school, we were getting a football player that was playing point guard a little bit more than we are right now. Trey Donaldson, point guard. And I continue to point to Trey and Aiden as the leaders of our team as it relates to our backcourt, valuing possessions. They both got almost a 3-to-1 assist turnover ratio, and which means that they value possessions, and they've trusted their teammates to also, get the ball ahead and let some of those other guys make some plays, and they'd be willing to take the hockey assist, but not put the ball in positions on the floor where they turn the ball over so much. I think that Trey obviously has improved, and just like at so many positions on the floor, we don't drop off when we go to the bench. And that second unit has been really effective defensively. And that second unit has been better defensively than the starters. And that's really helped us.
First, going back to Malik Dunbar, Javon McCormick, now Chad, you guys have had some really high-impact JUCO players. I guess, what's the difference between the evaluation process for a guy who's, you know, a D1 transfer versus a JUCO guy, and how do you think you guys have done so well in terms of evaluation?
Well, one of the things about the transfer portal that I think is a positive thing. Look, I believe in the opportunity our country presents and provides for people. And I think, you know, I transferred from Milwaukee to Tennessee and transferred from Tennessee here in many ways, and you know, Southern Indiana to Milwaukee, and so the opportunity to move and move up, it's just a great thing. I personally am in favor of a one-time transfer. I am, and I think that the reason why I'm in favor of that is I just think it's great for, you know, kids to have that opportunity 2 times in a career. Now you begin to wonder whether or not we're teaching the kids to flee, not fight. But as it relates to transfer decisions, the best way to evaluate whether or not somebody's going to be successful in your program is to watch them against the best competition. So when I studied Chad Baker at San Diego State, Duquesne, and in junior college, winning a national championship for a good friend of mine out in Florida, Coach DeMayo. I got a chance to see him be coached at the high level, and I got to see him compete at the high level. So we've made transfer evaluation decisions based on really good film study, just film study, not watching it necessarily in an AAU tournament, or certainly not watching against in their high school where the competition is so different. You can't get a good evaluation watching a kid play in high school. He's better than everybody else on the floor, he's better than everybody he plays with. That's not the case when they come out here and play for the 6th, 7th, or 8th man, right? So that's been, and that's something that I don't really love recruiting. I don't. There's a lot of things about it I don't like. But I love the evaluation process. I do. I really love to watch the ball, both in the gym and on tape.
Chris, when you guys have played,
And my staff has done a very good job. With my staff and I have done a really good job making some of those evaluation decisions with mid-major guys, junior college guys, Division II guys. I don't think we've gotten one wrong in 3 or 4 years. It's hard to do.
Bruce, when you guys have played Coach Stackhouse's teams at Vanderbilt, they're usually, no matter what the record is, they're usually really close games, really tight games. What is it about his teams and these Vanderbilt teams that you feel like it would make them so tough?
Well, he's one of the best offensive coaches in the country because he was a pro. He was a really good pro coach. Jerry Stackhouse could coach in the NBA right now and be very successful. And in fact, I would imagine that's where he's going to. I would imagine he's going to be there someday again because he was. He got a phenomenal offensive mind, and as a player and a competitor, he was about as tough a player as there was on the floor. Everybody was afraid of Jerry Stackhouse, period, because he was physical, tough, and he would take your head off. And he coaches that way. He competes that way. That stuff just wins. That, and because he may not be always as talented sometimes, this year they're not quite as talented. They're going to be patient, and so they're going to be patient. They also, foul the least, and they also send teams to the foul line the least. So he doesn't give you easy ones, doesn't foul you, and then makes you. His team is patient, runs the shot clock down, lower possessions, for a closer game. They don't turn the ball over, so you can't get offense out of your defense. And they change defenses enough to try to confuse you, but also to get you to shoot early. You shoot early and miss, then go down there and guard for 30 seconds. And shoot early and miss. The next thing you know, it's 6 at halftime. And then all of a sudden, you get in a game, and you're at Vanderbilt, and it's late, and they look up the clock and go, you know what? We're only down a couple possessions. And you sit there and go, well, God, we should be beating these guys by 12. And you're not. And that's how they steal a couple.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Big
Thanks,
Red.
Jay.